got that tractor beam out of commission, or this is going to be a real short trip. Okay, hit it!
Hey there, everyone. How's it going? A little bit of a late start. I can hear you perfectly fine, brother.
So it's real choppy.
Is it? You sound fine. I haven't heard anything weird. It's probably just StreamYard getting started as usual.
I can't hear you.
How is everybody doing? You can't hear me?
It's just chopping up a little bit.
All right. Well, let's see how it goes for a minute. If you have to drop out, you can. On my end, you sound fine. We got a little bit of late start, a little bit of problem. Yeah, we'll just roll with it. Hey everyone, how's it going? So once again, I'm in a hotel room and I'm bored. So plus it's easy for me to do shows like this. I don't have kids bothering me, dogs barking, wife bothering me to clean the house. So it makes it easy sometimes for me when I'm on the road and I can just get on and talk and not worry about anything else. I wish I could see you. I don't like that. You don't have your makeup on? Are you lagging?
No, StreamYard is asking me to close all my open work tabs in order to access the camera.
Oh, can you do that or no?
Yeah, the stuff I'm currently working on that I can't close.
Oh. Do you have a different laptop?
Yeah, I'm on my work laptop right now.
Oh, you're definitely behind. You're like 2 or 3 seconds behind me. What's up, Scott? How's it going? So it's kind of been a while since we've done a studio scale show. So we've been talking a lot today about a specific thing, which is Y-wings. And it's kind of tickled our fancies a little bit. And we've talked about it before many, many times. But it's like all of a sudden something pops up and you're just watching, you see it online and you just start thinking about it. Like I've been in sandcrawler mode for like a couple weeks now. And my brain has eat, sleep, drink sandcrawler for the last, couple months. But, we just started talking today about the Y-wing and, different kinds of Y-wings. So I don't even know how many different kinds there are. And a lot of them have different kit parts too. A lot of them are very made differently. There's a lot of story behind, so let's say the Red Jammer, and then you have, the original one, which is the Cantwell one, which is way different than all of them, but still has the basic same concept and design. But each one has its own matrix of different kit parts. If you're looking at it as a whole, you really don't notice it. But as you look at it closer up, you can see, different parts, and even different piping, different materials used, different ways that they made it. Let's say sometimes they just used cast parts that they had laying around instead of putting actual kit parts on certain spots. And unless you're looking for it, you can't really tell that much, because sometimes you can see the cast parts are very, very, a little bit more, not blurry, but less defined than, let's say, the model parts are. You still there, Jason, or did I lose you?
No, I'm here, but I can't tell if it's me or you. You're really chopped up.
Oh, Christ almighty. I'm so tired of dealing with StreamYard and the problems with internet and stuff. I'm in a hotel, and I actually paid for the faster internet. So let's ask the guys in the...
Just ask the chat. Scott or... Yeah. Okay, so Chris does sound good. Do I sound delayed, Scott?
Yeah, you're a little to me. You're delayed, Jason. Because I'll say something and like 2 or 3
Chris,
seconds
let me
later, you're
maybe
answering me.
sign up.
Right, I'm boot you out. Yeah, so it's just me. Hey Scott, Michael, how's it going, brother? Yeah, we're talking Wild Wings. We were talking. Jason and I were talking Red Jammer, and even Steve, our buddy Steve on the channel has been dipping his toes into studio scale, and he's kind of drinking the Kool-Aid a little bit. We've been Jason and I have both known that eventually Steve would come around. Can you hear me better, brother? No,
It's a
you're
little
delayed.
rough.
Yeah, Jason sounds like Max Headroom. Gonna be rough with you 2 or 3
can't tell.
It's gonna be rough with you a couple seconds behind me.
Let me try one more. Hold
on. All right. Anyway, I was saying Y-Wings have been in kind I mean, I've always liked Y-Wings. I'm surprised I haven't made one yet because it's one of my more favorite ships. And because there's so many different variations of it, I've been, I'm fascinated by it. So to me, it's more like it's like an old Cadillac, like the Cadillac of all the ships. It's big, it's honking, it's there's a lot going on it. It's very different than a lot of other Star Wars ships. I think because I've heard from other stories that there was a guy who designed it at first, and then Jason, actually, he'll be able to tell me. Let me get rid of this one. Kick from studio. Are you there?
Yeah, it seems a little better.
That's better. Yeah, you answered me right after I asked your question.
Yeah,
so Jason,
sorry, StreamYard is just really acting up as a guest link. All right,
so
rock and roll.
Yeah, you're good. You sound much better now. So correct me if I'm wrong. Wasn't there a person who was working at before it was ILM, and he built the first Y-Wing, but it was so intricate and so different that they ended up letting him go? But they kept the ship in the movie. Is that a story that I've heard that story, but I don't know how true it is.
I don't know. No, I'm not familiar with that one. I know there's the Cantwell story.
Right.
Then there's the Bill George, in affiliation to the Y-Wing.
But the Bill George is in Jedi. That takes place a lot longer.
Yeah, but I'm saying any association to the Y-Wing would be just the Cantwell, and then the Bill George, and then also the one that we would talk about earlier today, which we'll get into, the Jammer, which was used as an asset for the life size or the 1-to-1 scale ship at L Street Studios.
I forget where I heard that from. Somebody said that. I think maybe it was John who told me about that. That there was a guy who they brought on, and he built things a lot more intricate and took longer to build than the others. So, and that was the Y-Wing, which you can tell it's a lot different from all the other pieces, all the other ships, because I don't know. It's just different for some reason. And I thought that I heard that from John, but I'll find out from him tomorrow. But
I think that's the great part about this specific episode. Sorry, guys, that we were off to a rough start, but the Y-Wing, as we discussed earlier, is one of the most sort of we talked about how like most of the ships or models in Star Wars have some level of cohesiveness to them. The X-Wings from one to the other, TIEs, even the Falcons and the various sizes and stages throughout the 3 films. There's a cohesiveness to those models, where the Ys, other than the shape, are a lot more slapstick and kind of thrown together and very rough and gritty, and use a lot of cast parts, and they're a lot more sloppy. They're not as methodical as the other ships, and that's how we caught into this little impromptu, because there's a lot that we as as model builders and just as having an interest and an intrigue,
Yep.
that we're trying to learn and figure out and deconstruct and reverse engineer and understand. So that's why we decided to get on tonight and just kind of have an open discussion about it, and hopefully we can maybe discuss what we already know and maybe learn something new, and continue on with that.
I mean, even today, you and I were talking, and we both figured out new things about it that have that people have told us are like,
Yeah.
let's say, scratch build parts, but they're definitely not. So, you know, we'll get into that later. But I feel like I'm sure there's not. I'm sure that other people knew this, but we didn't know this prior to looking at these pictures. Um, but let's. I guess we should just start with Cantwell, right? We should go there first, right?
Yeah.
And talk about him and his Y wing, which is very. I'm not a huge fan of Cantwell's designs, really not. It's something that most. Oh, that's not. That's is that the. That's. Oh, I wanted that picture for something else. Okay, cool. Let me just save that somewhere else so I can come back to it. Put that right there. Okay. Um, so Cantwell's piece is it still has a very wide. It still looks a lot like the Y wing, okay, but it's very different. Here, I'm gonna put it on. Let's get rid of that one. Stop screen. Present. Share screen. Window. Bingo. Okay. So here's the Cantwell Y wing, which I mean, I don't think it uses a lot of any of the parts that the other the Y wings that we know of use. I don't. Are these still Sat B cans over here? Do you know?
Let me open the image.
I don't think they are.
I don't think. Yeah, I don't think they are.
No, and these aren't even legs eggs either. These are just difference. Like for those of you that don't know, they used the legs eggs, the egg that they would stick stockings in back in the day, and they would sell those stockings in these egg-shaped plastic cartons. They used the top of those for the fronts of these engines. But I don't even think that those are legs eggs there.
This is the legs eggs, as I told you today, aren't 100% perfect fit. There's
They're
a
not?
little bit of spacing, a little bit of gap. It's minimal, but they're not like it's not a glove. It's not like a perfect match.
Hmm.
You have a tiny bit of spacing as you line it up, but this seems to be a lot more pristine. This build is very clean and crisp and sharp.
Yeah,
This
this
is
is
more
very
from an
this is
engineer. This is more ingenuity.
this is more like okay, we've talked about this before with Star Wars. Um, when I think of a 1970s sci-fi movie, I'm thinking 2001 Space Odyssey, or let's say Star Trek, where it's very, or even like Black Hole, where it's Black Hole's later, but it's very clean. It has this look of
Like Buck Rogers Space
Buck
2001.
Rogers. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And it was basically like what people thought the future vehicles would look like. Okay. Whereas with Star Wars, the ones that they put on screen, they stand up. They still yeah, they're lived in. They're like real world parts, and they're just it has a different aesthetic to it. And then when you look at some of it, I'm just going to go through some of the pictures. It is very different. I I generally don't like Cantwell designs, but this one I actually do like a lot. I'm actually very much looking forward to building one of these. I mean, Jason Eaton had mentioned that he was planning on making a kit available eventually. I don't know how if that's still going, or hopefully it is, because that's something I would love to build. Otherwise, I don't think I would get to build something like this, because I know a lot of the Cantwell um, parts that he used are very odd and very
Well, there's also two versions of the Cantwell. If you
yeah.
notice this, there's the two variations.
Yeah. Like there's this one, and then even the other one. Well, that doesn't, it looks very similar, but it's not the 8 rad neck back here. It's still very similar. But you see how it's very different than, even though it's the same shape and everything, all this here, it's different parts completely.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And then, like we talked about before, Joe Johnson, not Joe Johnson, McQuarrie, he had paintings. Okay. So in one of his paintings, it is the Cantwell Y Wing. In the next painting, it's the Joe Johnson Y Wing. And then after that, it's Gold Leader. He changed his painting to follow suit with which Y Wing they were planning on, keeping in the movie. I don't recognize any of these parts, Jason. Do you?
Not off the top of my head, no.
This is a computer render. This isn't a real shot of it. And there's not a whole lot of pictures of this thing. Okay, so see, this one's different.
Yep.
This is a different one.
I think there might have been 2 or 3 variations of this. I don't know enough about this one.
No.
I haven't deep dived enough to understand the ins and outs and how it differentiates versus like this. This is obviously clearly a little bit more
Finished.
complete, finished, built up. It's got a lot more detail, and
see,
it's a very crisp build.
Yeah, not a lot of painting, not a lot of weathering, almost no weathering. I mean, I think the only painting that is on this thing is back on this picture where these are decals, right? These aren't even painting.
Yeah, those are decals.
Yeah. But I'll tell you what, it's something that I want to have, like on my display. I want to have a Cantwell. I want to have a Red Jammer. I want to have a Bill George. I want to have like 4 of them right in a row, and Joe Johnson even, and I think it would be really cool just to see the progression of each one. But isn't there a whole bunch of different ones other than Gold Leader? Like there's the Tie Killer.
There's the Tiger Sprocket, the Gold Leader, Tie Killer, which I think may be the nickname for Gold Leader.
Yeah, I think they're the same one and the same.
And the 3 variations of which the Jammer exists from start to finish. And I think they may have done, again, see, I don't know enough about the Y-Wing across the board, which is why I think this is a great conversation to have.
Yeah.
As to how many were actually made.
It's definitely piqued our interest in the last couple of days. We seem to be fixated. At least I do. Oh, here we go. This is the Cantwell picture.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the McQuarrie picture of the Cantwell one, and then later on I'll show you the same, almost the same version, but different Y-Wing altogether. And it has the double cockpit. It has the cockpit down below, and actually it's 2 cockpits and one gunner station. Yeah,
what an amazing painting! Like I can almost feel the temperature and the smell,
sweatiness.
Yeah, you can just feel the time of day and the
humidity,
the atmosphere. Yeah,
the evening humidity of it. I have a lot of the same pictures. So this is from the video that somebody took screenshots of the video. It is very cool looking. Like I said, a lot of the Cantwell pieces I'm not a fan of, but this one is this one's missing the cannons in the front. They must have came out or fell out or something. Isn't there a story about, Colin had these somewhere and somebody came and bought them for really cheap from him and then turned around and sold them for a lot of money or something like that?
From the rumors, and I'm using that emphatically, from the rumors I heard, I guess there was maybe not the models. I don't know what's in the archives and what isn't. I believe some of these are in the archives. Again, this is all, I'm just spectating here. Don't take any of this as, usually we have these chats and I'm a lot more, confident in the things that I'm stating, but I haven't done enough research. So this is all speculative, but I think these may be in the archives, hence these images. It may not be, but I do know at one point Colin had a number of pieces that he worked on, may have worked on. They may have been part of production. They may not have been part of production. I don't know. Images, photos, paintings, etc. And yeah, they were basically all at his home, from what I know. A few people realized, hey, this is Colin Cantwell. He was part of Star Wars. Let's kind of reach out and see what he's got. And not thinking, before the resurgence of Star Wars, I know, the sequels, sort of everybody sequels, but neither here nor there. When they did come around, there was quite a resurgence in collectors and
The prequels, you mean? The
no,
prequels is
the sequels.
okay.
Yeah, the latest movies, 2015 and up. So that's when collecting kind of resurged a bit, and things were going up in price, and things were becoming more sought after. It was just another peak interest in Star Wars. But long story short, I think it was, hey, this guy worked on Star Wars. Let's see what he has, And then I'm assuming from Cantwell and his wife probably like, hey, maybe we can get some money for this. And whatever it was that he had, I think it was more images, paintings, things like that. They had bought up, and basically, we have the rights to this, and started selling it. But I also know that him and his wife, right before his passing, had put together a few packages of images and things like that you could purchase that would go directly to him to offset. But again, that's all, I don't know how official any of that information is. It's just some of the rumors I heard.
I want this on my shelf. I really do.
Yeah, this is a great piece. It does have a very like 2001 Space Odyssey vibe to it, but it like there are certain things, and I say this a lot, right? There are certain pieces that, let's say you didn't have a collection room, okay? Pretend you don't have a collection room. Let's just say you have like a pedestal in a hallway somewhere, and you take a Star Wars piece, not like a Vader or a 3PO, not something that everybody recognizes like McDonald's arches or Coca-Cola, but like let's say you took like a random ship. Someone could look at it and say, "Oh, that must be from Star Wars," right? Without knowing, you can say, "Oh, it must be from Star Wars."
Yeah.
But with this, it doesn't have that Star Wars aesthetic to it.
No, it doesn't.
It has
Could be any sci-fi movie.
Just like a model that you may have bought, like a model kit you may have bought and built with your dad, or one of those kind of feels, because it is very crisp and clean and fresh, and I do like it. I mean, I like this a lot, but it's definitely different. It's definitely outside of the Star Wars universe, despite its shape.
I do really hope that Jason ends up doing this, because he's talked about it on his Facebook page a lot a while ago, and
whenever he mentions a kit, I've noticed that they always tend to come to fruition. They always end up being made. So it's just a matter. I think it's a matter of when versus if.
The only thing that throws me off is Masterpiece Models was sold, so that's why I'm wondering if it's going to go through or not.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he downsized and then sold the company to somebody. I mean, I remember he was telling me he was going to work out his garage a little bit. Maybe he's going to work out of it and do this still, but like he did the ion cannon and the Skyhopper.
Let's get the Skyhopper, the escape pod.
Yeah.
Let's get the Y-Wing Ripley packs.
Yeah. I hope that this comes to fruition, because otherwise, like, I'm sure these kit parts are really expensive, and I really don't want to pay a couple $100 for just a little piece of one little kit part.
Yeah, he also used a lot of really obscure real world parts in his builds. I remember having a discussion with somebody, and some of his builds had some really like obscure and arbitrary pieces.
Also, I know he did a lot of obscure old model kits, let's say like that were made of metal and stuff like that, because I've seen some of the parts that are on his Sandcrawler, and some of those are just very odd. And oh, here's a nice close-up. See, like, this is metal. This is definitely, there's a screw there. That's metal. I don't recognize these parts. Not that I know a whole lot of parts, but I'm starting to get to know more. But I don't know these at all.
Up top is a car part. That silver piece is definitely a car part.
Gray
That
one.
round piece, I think, is from a tank. Yeah.
Yeah, this is a tank part here. This gray one, you think is a car part?
Yeah, it looks like it.
Okay. Yeah, that doesn't. No, I don't. I don't know any of them really. Like we were looking through pictures of the tie, not the what ties, the Y wings up real close, and I was like, okay, that's from this. That's from this. This is from that. But on these, I don't know any. Look at these little interesting things like this little circle, this bullseye circle in the front.
I love the little men.
Yeah, it's different.
I love that bubble on top too. This is a really, really unique piece, huh?
Yeah, and I remember seeing Jason's Facebook page. Under this bubble is this like kaleidoscope type, almost like those drummers from Jamaica, and they have the little bowl. I don't know what they're called. Those Jamaican drum sets that make those Kong noises. It's almost shaped like that and kind of looks exactly like it. Reflects light too, I think. I have a lot of pictures, a lot of these little pictures, screenshots.
Well, these screen grabs are great. These are the off the behind the scenes.
Yeah.
About the 7 or 8 pack DVD.
Yeah, you look at this thing and you're like, okay, there's not. You look at a regular Y wing and it's littered with kit parts all over the wings and the body, and it's just piled on. This, there's not a lot, but I'm sure they're expensive. So, and probably unattainable, seeing as how old they are and obscure they are. And there's a picture I have of Colin showing George his vision of what it is. Here it is. So, like, he's describing, what he's got planned in the very early stages. And this looks like part of the starter shore back here, right? Oh, I don't have it up. What happened to it? You there, Jay?
Yeah, I'm just waiting for the image.
I didn't see that it went away.
Oh yeah, that's right. I know this image.
Yeah, very, very well known.
George is looking at him like, dude, you're getting fired, so it doesn't matter what you show me.
Exactly. He's looking at these.
You can't even see the front of his face, but he just has a look of such disinterest.
Look how he's crossed his arms. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And he's looking at these like, that's not what I have envisioned whatsoever.
Yeah. Okay, Colin. Yeah, that looks nice. Okay.
No flannel though. He's got tank. He's got a turtleneck on. I think that's the first picture I've seen of him with no turtleneck on.
Yeah.
With no flannel. This is when Marsha was still dressing him.
I think so. Yeah.
He's got a turtleneck too. Do you ever wear those? I used to wear them.
No, who reminds me of? I'm not trying to be disrespectful in any way, but the movie Revenge of the Nerds.
Yeah.
He looks like
yeah.
that character there.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people did back those days. Even I did. As handsome as I am, I still look like a nerd when I was younger. All right. So let's jump to. Shall we jump to Jammer, because that's next in line?
Yeah, I mean, there's really no method to our madness tonight. I think this was impromptu in many ways.
I think I'm planning on just like going, timeline wise. Let's see if I could get a good one to start on. All right, I have a lot of good pictures here. I'm sure. I don't know if these are widely available, but at this point, I'm not sure, but I don't know. No, these weren't given to me in confidence, so I can tell you that. Red Jammer. So give us the backstory of Jammer, right? You know a little bit more on the backstory of Jammer than I do.
Okay, so again, I'm gonna, for anybody watching now or watching in the future, I'm just gonna say I'm still in the process of learning what I can about this particular Y-wing. From what I gather, and not all of this may be 100%, so bear with me. And feel free to correct. If anybody knows in the comments, if anybody's watching this later down the road, feel free to leave a comment.
Yeah, guys, talk up. Ask questions.
Yeah, for sure. So with Jammer, it was built, I think, as the base Y wing, right outside of Collins, like following Collins' build, to be the next step or the next version of what would be seen on screen. But Jammer specifically was built to be sent over to London to L Street Studios, so they can use that as a reference asset to build the 1-to-1 scale. Um, so when you see the X-wing and the Y-wing in the hangar, this is what they used to build. This was their reference. With that being said, a lot of people were under the impression that there was various, different versions of Jammer. That there was 2 or 3 versions, and what I've learned, and again, I may be incorrect, so bear with me, but I think I'm confident, at least in this statement. What I learned is that there's only one Jammer, and Red Jammer. And what had happened was when it first got sent over to London, it was basically only about 75% done. The left engine wasn't fully complete. It was missing the T tracks. It was completely white. It wasn't painted. The left side was partially unpainted, and it had the larger guns, as you can see in this image. So this is an earlier version of it.
This is
So this is where you're getting like
hold on.
3.
This is no, that's somebody's painted one.
Oh, that's somebody's painted one. Okay.
Yeah, that's not the real one. I don't.
But the guns were correct to where I was going on that particular one.
I don't want to put anybody's up by accident.
Yeah, for confusion. But just to continue on, so when you see the earlier one, you'll see that the left engine, or Saturn V, for those who are familiar with the parts, is completely white. It's not painted. It's not covered, primed, nothing.
This one here is weathered, okay, but there's, like he's talking about, there at one stage where there's pictures of it. It's completely white. There's not even this wash or whatever it is, or spray.
Yeah, there's nothing, and it has the larger guns on the top canopy. The 2 long larger guns.
Here's a good picture of that
on the top of the canopy, and this is how it left for London. It came back with a little. It still had the larger guns. From what I know, at that point, those weren't changed out till later, but it at that point had now been somewhat finished a little bit more.
Damn, I keep forgetting to put it on screen. Sorry.
Yeah, I was wondering. Okay, so here it is. Yeah, it was throwing me off a little bit. So here it is, as we were discussing, where the right side is done, or done up to as much as it was at that point, whereas the left isn't. But you can also see the front guns aren't painted yet. The weathering on this is a little bit different underneath where the open ports are. You can see sort of that white halo effect of spray. That's there. It's missing some decals. That is actually a little bit more weathering. That looks like it may have been painted or primed over. So that's what led people to think that there may have been 2 or 3 red Jammers in existence. And again, I could be wrong. If somebody knows better and says, "Oh yeah, there was more than one," then I definitely stand corrected, and that'd be great to know. But from what I gather so far, I believe there is only the one. And as it went through the stages, it was over in London, being used as a reference, and then it got shipped back, and it had some additional painting, some additional pieces applied, and then eventually, when it was back here in the States, it got completed up until about 90%. The guns got changed out on top. The left engine got painted, but not completely. So what you can see on the right side here, as it lays in the crate, you see around the legs, eggs, front port, it has the red ring with a little bit of yellow behind it, or gold, whatever you prefer. And then at the back end, it has the black or dark gray. I'm not going to use the Flow Quill or Archive-X color names. I'm just going to spitball here, dark gray ring. Whereas even in the finished process, the other one, painted and weathered, doesn't have the red, the gold, and the gray rings around it. It still lacks those parts. And it's funny because see the hex screwdrivers. Yeah. So when I was chatting with Steve the other night, which, to give Steve credit, it's kind of what led into the heavy conversation on the why and how we got here. But those 2 are to open the hatch in the back with the 3 hex screws on the back panel. And I think there's 2 hex screws
back here.
Yep. To access, there's three hex screws that sail that back plate for armature access, and then I think there's 2 on the top of the jammer as well, but I could be wrong.
Look at this. Look at the black spots up here. They don't show up. They don't show up. I mean, there's a heavy dark gray
smear.
faint.
Yeah, it's not just that
Yeah.
block.
Yeah.
It's not as blocky as it was. It's more smeared, and it
Yeah.
has the black markings.
Is this how you painted yours?
I didn't put the black markings on. No,
Okay.
not
Yeah.
not the circles.
No, they're a little. They're not quite. They don't really fit with the rest of it.
Yeah, but my red is a little bit on the thinner side, like that.
Yeah. Or this is misted over probably with, because this is heavily misted. Like
Yeah, you can
very.
see, and then in a later image, you can see the right side of the canopy is heavily misted as well. Like the red is really dumbed down. I
Is
would
it
love to see
misted with white or is it misted with a gray? That's what I'm
looks
wondering.
to me more like a gray color, but again, the
Yeah.
lighting makes it really difficult to differentiate.
So now they added more to this canister.
Yep. So now
They're
here's the
painting.
canister.
Yep.
More finished, painted, weathered, but as you can see, you're still missing the red, the
Yep.
yellow, and the gray /
Yep.
black.
So here's the legs eggs, and it you can see a little bit of
Misalignment
a
there. Yep.
misalignment there. Okay, now I got it. Okay.
Because
Almost fits inside.
I actually used the legs eggs on mine, and I wasn't able to line it up perfectly. It's just slightly off. It's a great match, but it's just about like a 97% versus like 100% match.
Yeah, I didn't cut up my Sat V parts for this, so I can use that, I think. And this is Sat V. No, that's not Sat V part right there. That's something different. Yeah, I got a lot of pictures of this thing. So like, okay, so here's a good example. This here, like these are
So
cast parts right here.
this is
All
great
three of
too.
these.
So these are cast parts. What's interesting about this, and I know we talked a lot about this off camera, Chris, but just to rehash, what's interesting about this is, so there's this immediate expectation that anything that ILM built was all donor kits. It's all this like, hey, everything is either a sort of mishmash of scratch builds with original donor parts. Well,
Mhm.
a lot of times on the costumes, you see a lot of cast model parts that were used and applied to the costumes. You don't see it a lot on the models. It does exist on the ties. There's recast parts and cast pieces. There's cast parts for the pyros and whatnot for the X-wings. But on this, there's actually a lot of parts that are cast. They're not like plucked from a kit and cleanly put on. They're actually casts. And it's good to talk about that for anybody interested in the jammer or trying to understand a little bit more background on the jammer that thinks like, oh, well, that looks wrong or that looks off or this was done incorrectly. That's not the case. So like this is, for those who aren't familiar, it's a portion of the top of the X-wing, or what we call the droid strip.
Yeah.
That's behind the astromech droid. Yep, you can see that, and it's real muddied up here too. You can see a couple of these plates are pretty muddy, and a lot
These
of
are
these
rough casts. Yeah, the casts are
these are really
very
rough pulls. Yeah,
Yeah, you can see that they're not crisp and clear. Like let's say right here where you see all these pieces, you see all this detail here. It's real crisp and clean. This is definitely rounder edges. Not actual kit parts. But Jason, I just realized something, and and the only reason I realize this is because I'm an electrician. This is copper wire with insulation on it.
yeah,
Because
that's
they
why that green is
stripped it.
showing through. Chris.
No, not on here.
No, not here, not here. On the other
Yeah.
images, I'm
Yeah.
thinking that's the plastic coating around the wire.
Okay, you think the reason why? No. Okay, so we
We'll
talked
look at
about that. Yeah, we'll look at it. But if you look, you can like, and especially older electrical wire, the insulation around the copper was thicker. So what they did was they stripped some of the insulation off the wire and stuck it in holes in the sides so you can see right here where the copper is, and this is all insulation.
Yeah, you're right.
Yep. And I know this because I've dealt with older wire that has thicker insulation. So yeah, I'm sure somebody else figured that out, but I've just noticed that right now. Pretty cool. So if you actually got your hands on this, you could feel that was rubber over top of the copper. pretty cool. I want to find that picture with the patina on it.
So go back one. Go back one though.
Mhm.
Go back. I guess this one's fine. Or yeah, just go back to where the canopy is.
Can it be this one?
So this is an example of where you see a little bit later. Those black dots are removed.
Yeah,
The
well, they're
guns are now
painted over.
painted, as you can see.
You
But if you look at the top, yeah.
you can see them still a
If you
little
look
bit
at the top of
through.
the canopy,
Go ahead.
yeah.
Are you
If
behind
you look at
again?
the top of the canopy, the gun's completely different. Now that's a
Yeah,
what's that? A motorcycle part or a car part? It's definitely a. I think it's a
I
motorcycle
think it's a
part.
motorcycle
Not too
part. Yeah.
sure, but you can see the difference in the guns.
Hmm.
Yeah.
But here you
So
can
yeah, Chris, you're
see
right. If you look at the pipe. Oh yeah,
you're
yeah, that's
delayed.
true. You can see a little bit bleeding through.
Yeah, the black circles are still there, like right there and there. You can still see them, but they're painted over. But the copper, let's go to a picture where you can see the copper. See, now that looks like real copper to me. Paint, it might be painted with some rust and misted with other stuff, but this looks like real copper wire, which kind of like surprises me a little bit that there's another picture that you see the underside of it has a patina, like the copper's been corroded a little bit. But like this doesn't look like styrene. This looks like copper wire that's bent. It would make sense because copper wire was, like we talked about earlier, copper wire was a lot more accessible back then. I can't be at the end of my pictures. There's no way. I know I have a ton of them. Ah, there it is, the patina. See it?
Yeah, so this makes me think: is that the insulation and it was just painted over, or is that patina?
Oh yeah, you know what? You might be right. That might be insulation that was painted.
And then also, if you look next to the cast plate, you see the piece that fell off, right where the hand is, right where your mouse is.
Yeah, right below it. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll never know what was there.
Mm-mm. There's nothing distinguish. Well, I mean, if there's older pictures that show that, but here
And then
you
even
can.
under this wing part right above the plate, that right under the wing, the white piece, is another cast. That's cast. That's not all
This?
clean.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, you can see
those
the
are
bubbles
pieces.
in it.
Yeah, those
Yeah,
are cast.
yeah.
I
But
mean, we know what the parts are from the part lists that were
yeah,
pieced together from people who've done it over the past, but those are cast and they're really really rough.
yeah. Even a lot of this looks cast.
Yeah,
Like
a
this
lot of
looks
it is.
cast.
That's
Yeah,
definitely cast. The one over is cast.
this one,
Um,
this one.
Even above the Rolls Royce, you can see some of those pieces of cast.
Yep, up here. You have to make sure. Okay, so what did Mr. say? You have to make sure all your ref is the actual miniature, not a replica. It happens sometimes. I got caught a few times looking at Falcon pics online. John Builds got me a few
John's
times.
builds.
Yes. Yeah, there's times where like we just went through and I had a couple pictures of other people. I like to keep I like to use other people's builds as well just to help me, you know, figure out reference pictures and like if I'm looking at a reference picture and I can't make something out, like I'll look at somebody else's build and say, "Oh, okay, that makes sense. That's what it is," you know. So I do collect other people's build pictures as well. But like look at a lot of this is cast.
It looks like Hair Chris too. They have these two hex screws. They look like hex screws, and maybe they're two round right at the front of the Rolls Royce piece.
This
Yeah. Does that help sandwich the two plates together, the top and the bottom, or what is that part?
I was going to ask you if that was the plugs for the wires because that's not a
No, because they're on
hex
they're
screw.
on top too. It's
That's not a
hex,
hex
huh?
screw. No.
Oh, you're right. It's
Unless
more round. So I don't have my glasses. They're a little bit more rounded. You're right.
yeah, they're
Hey,
definitely
the
rounded.
part that your hand's on, the part that that your mouse is on, that looks like the one that was on the Cantwell.
Uh-huh. It does.
Remember? And I was like, oh, it looks like a car part.
It does. But let's see if we could like
I'm interested to know now if that's insulation or copper or like if it's it doesn't look like natural patina to me.
No, it doesn't.
The green's too even.
Yeah. And like this doesn't look like it was airbrushed on.
No, that was definitely done with a brush of some sorts, like a hand
Yeah.
by hand.
We are super freaking geeky. Super. I mean, I think a lot of this was cast. This fire hydrant was definitely not cast. That's pretty clear, and it has a kit part color. And this doesn't look cast either. But a lot of this is cast pieces.
The plate above that one, go to the fire hydrant.
Yeah, this one here.
That plate's cast.
Yeah, this is.
And that one's even got warpage to it.
Yeah,
right under the wing. Yeah, that's
bent.
warpage.
Yeah,
that's rough looking too. You can see all like the
this looks like an icing kit. Looks like a nice and cast kit.
Well, this is what's interesting, right? And Stuart brings up a good point, because I was saying earlier to Chris, I said, it's kind of like that expression where people say, when a kid draws something and someone's like, I could do that, or it looks like my kid drew that.
Look at this piece, Jason.
Yeah,
look at these
cast too.
These two pieces. They're bubbles, missing parts.
Yeah. And it looks like some of the piping came out. Go to the other side.
Here?
It looks like they mirrored it. Yeah, it looks like they mirrored it and it popped out.
Yeah.
So what me and Chris was saying was, like, working with I had used copper. I had asked around. Some said styrene, some said copper, brass, whatever. I had ended up using copper for some of the tubing and, most of the tubing. And I was saying to Chris, it's much easier to bend it in a much cleaner 45-degree, 90-degree angle to make it clean and smooth. It's so much easier to do that. It's much more complex and difficult to copy it, as you see it here, to make it look all janky and wonky and uneven. It's much more of a task to mimic that than it would have been to make it a nice clean bend.
So you can see these two blacks, that black spot, this black spot, but you don't see any others back here. Here's that brick stuff you were talking about.
The brick sheet. So yeah, this piece has quite a bit of. This is something I discovered recently, which isn't new by any means. It's just new to me. So working on the Red Jammer, I had come across how they lay down the sheets of styrene. They laid down sheets of what they call brick sheet, which is from H&O. It's I think number 101. They had 101, 102, 103, which were basically, if you were building, small towns or cities for, like if you were a train hobbyist, it would be a brick wall or it would be a brick tunnel. And the different sheets and variations of styles would, basically deem the size and length of the bricks. So I didn't realize this, but in building this, I'm like, why do these particular slabs of, raised sheets of styrene have these indentations? And I was like, oh, these look like bricks. Well, I didn't know that this stuff is just as rare as cool shade. Trying to find this stuff is like, a needle in a haystack.
Yeah, don't forget to send me that piece too.
Yeah.
Send me enough.
Luckily, I had found somebody who had two sheets of it. I mean, he wanted one. He wasn't willing to just sell me one. I had to buy both. But it was definitely more than I wanted to pay. But on Marvin's, Marvin basically said it doesn't matter what the guy's charging, just pay it. So I trust him. I trust him blindly. So if he said so, I went with it. Once he told me to go for it, I jumped. But yeah, it was interesting because I like those small little details. And even though they're the smallest of pieces, you don't really notice them unless you're nose to the Y-wing. It's just a great little addition to have on there to know that it's like a tie with original cool shade. Having the Y with original sheets of brick sheet is just a fun nuance, especially where it's so rare and so hard to get. And unlike Cool Shade, Chris, where there's cast versions of Cool Shade, 3D printed versions of Cool Shade, from what I've read and from the little bit of research that I was able to come up with, it doesn't seem like anybody's done a really good job at replicating or trying to cast brick sheet because it's so thin.
Small detail, yeah.
Yeah, the detail's so small, and the way it was made is it's on such a thin paper slash vinyl, whatever the material is,
It's
that you can't
really
just like
hard to
cast it resin.
it's really hard to see. Like when you're looking at this, like these all look the same, but if you look real closely, this piece here is the brick stuff.
Yeah, it's there. There's one on top of the canopy. There's a bunch on the canisters and engines. There's
Yeah,
one right there on the canopy. Yep, by
this one
the
here.
right. Yep, right in front of the gun. So having that is a nice little nuance because it's like I said, having a tie with cool shade. You know.
So this is the white one. It's still white inside. They just misted it with something.
Mm-hmm. But even look at the layout of how they put the wiring or the copper, the two. Let's just say tubing for the sake of ease. Just look how sloppy it's laid down.
Yeah, it's very sloppy.
There's nothing meticulous about that in any way.
I wonder if this looks so like now that I saw that I can see that this looks like
You
insulation.
can see the wire, the wire coating, that sponginess to it. Yeah.
And even here, it looks
Yep.
like it to me. Really does. That's a cool little find, huh? Cool little thing. I mean,
yeah,
just something.
it is actually.
It's something that like a plumber notices things that I would never pick out. Like because I do this for a living, I'm able to pick this out. And now, like all of this is starting to look like it to me.
Well, it makes sense too because it's stronger than using the styrene, right? Which we know is used later on in the Return of the Jedi version, but more pliable and easier to bend and shape than real rods of metal.
Well, makes it harder because like if I want to build something like this, I got to find older insulation. I got to like go to some old house and rip out the wires and keep all the wiring for it. Because new insulation is totally different than what the old stuff was.
Like, look how dark that one is compared to the ones above.
Well, I think they painted these all a certain color and then misted these. I think they all are the same color, but these have a mist over them of whatever color, like the foundation or rust or whatever it is. But I think these were all like originally painted this color because you can see like over here and here. This stuff's fascinating to me, but I'm sure like
this is a great image. Look at this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you see here, look at the canopy, look at the right side, how much more dusted and sort of less visible the red is, or the orange, whatever you want to call it. See how the red is coming up to the curve up top?
Yeah. So this is like the third version of it.
Yes. We're looking at like the latest ideation of it.
Latest. Yeah. I'm curious where these black spots went to. They kept a couple, but some of them are gone. They must have painted over them.
Well, they look like gouges almost.
Really? I thought they were just like...
I could be wrong. They just look like gouges.
I thought they looked like paint spots.
They put no time, effort, or energy into laying these out.
No.
Like they're just all over the place.
Yeah, they're not straight. They're not like, look at this wire. It just like goes at an angle and comes over and down. It's a fun one. Oh, look at this. There's wire on the can.
Yep. Yeah,
that's cool.
I got that one in. See, even these look like a lot of cast parts underneath too.
I think they used a lot of cast underneath because it wasn't as visible.
Mm-hmm. But what's interesting is from what we know, and again, I could be wrong, but this was one of the earlier versions or earliest versions. So
after Cantwell.
Yeah, it makes me think that like the casting, like for pyro, X-wings, etc., were done for convenience, whether they needed to damage one or if a camera was knocking into it and pieces were falling off. So to have such, quick, sloppy castings with little attention to, let's make a cleaner cast, or let's file this one down, let's make sure there's no bubbles. Like they just, whatever came out of the mold, they just glued it on.
There's no cockpit.
And there's no cockpit. So it makes me think that was this mainly used only as an asset reference asset, or was it meant to be on screen?
I hate this new StreamYard thing where I gotta go through a whole bunch of steps to put this thing on. Used to be just boop boop, 2 clicks and it's on. Now I gotta like go through and do a whole bunch of shit. Yeah, there's no cockpit. There's nothing inside here. There's nothing. That's interesting. It goes to show they didn't use it. Otherwise, they would have had a cockpit in or a pilot.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of like that. All right, so let's move on to. I don't have a lot to show on Bill George. Let me see what I got. Jedi Bill George. Oh, I do have quite a bit. A lot of these are just off of RPF and what was that tour that was going on? You're gonna know what I'm talking about as soon as I put this up. Of course, I gotta go through 5 windows to get there. This is what was this tour called?
This might have been Science Meets Imagination or the Mom exhibit.
Isn't this the one that's in Tokyo where they're all lined up down the middle of the room?
Identities, maybe?
Identities, that's what I'm thinking of, yeah. See, now the Bill George one has another story. And correct me if I'm wrong, but the story goes that Bill George built one on his own, just using reference from, just watching the movies or something. He was just a guy at home, and he built his own, brought it in to show it at ILM as like a, resume. And then they hired him, right? And then eventually they used it in one of the movies, but they also changed a lot of it because they need to add an armature for filming and stuff like that. But it is very, very different from all the others. There's a whole lot of different piping. There's a whole lot of different colors. There's a whole lot of different kit parts. It's a very cool one. And no, that's not what I want. It's Lee Ralph and Guy Cohen right now are building some off of reference that they have, and they built 2 of them, and I guess they're going to cast and paint new ones, right? They're not selling.
Yeah, I think from what we know, I think they're
it's cool how this one, this one's red here, and it has these little spikes here.
I can't see.
No, you put your old man glasses on.
No, there's nothing on the screen.
Oh, duh. Why
It's just
is this such a pain in the balls?
It's throwing me off because when you're talking, I'm like, I just see us.
StreamYard is different now how they do this.
Oh, okay. Look at this. This is interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Look at all the strips and stuff on the cannons and.
Yep. Just styrene strips on them. You can see it was like
still janky too. Look how rough that is.
Yeah.
Look at the armature access points too.
Where?
Right there. Those are sloppy, huh?
Yeah. Well, don't forget they ripped it apart and they added this. They cut this open and added this, right? And then these are styrene strips they just glued on.
So what's starting to make sense to me too, Chris? The lack of cohesiveness in the Y-wings is okay because like this looks really rough, right? This looks really, really crude. But the Y-wing is a crude vehicle all around. It's as if like I wonder if Dave Goldberg first said this. I this isn't my statement. I heard it somewhere, and I think it may have been from Dave, where he had said that it goes back to George's love for cars and the whole race scene and whatnot. Not like Fast and Furious, but like 60s Modesto, California. And, you have this hot rod, if you will, And then instead of like having to keep removing the hood and get access to the engine, you just basically take all the hood and plates off. Hence all the exposed parts and tubes, and you know what I mean? You're starting to see all the inner workings of the ship. Basically, it's the ship naked without all the plates on it.
Right.
So it makes sense that it can look super janky, even if you have a quote unquote hero version, right? Because we all know a hero versus a pyro versus a whatever are going to be different levels of detail and cleanliness and sharpness. But all the Ys are just very slapstick. There isn't a single Y that has like extreme attention to detail, at least not for A New Hope.
No.
It's not until you get to Return of the Jedi where the smaller one gets really, really cleaned up and has a little bit more method to its madness, if you will.
Look at this piece. It's just like
it's a train wreck.
It's a train wreck, yeah.
But it fits. It fits the overall aesthetic unintentionally. Unintentionally, it definitely fits the aesthetic.
This one has a lot of stuff going on, like a lot of piping going all over the place. A lot more kit parts than even the other ones do. As you can see from this picture, there's a whole lot going on in the center here.
Yeah, which ironically used a lot of the same kits and just put them in different places. Yeah. I think this one has some additional pieces that Jammer doesn't.
Right.
But I think a lot of them share at least a third of the kits on each one, and they're just placed in different areas. Yeah, so this is where they cut the, rather than screwing the plate down as one piece, they just cut a hole in the hatch.
Yeah. It's a gorgeous piece.
Now look at that canopy. Look at the detail of the cockpit window at the bottom, the base of it.
Yeah.
How it has that, yeah.
The styrene layers.
That's interesting because that was intended detail right there.
Yeah, because it's cut to shape.
Yep.
It's interesting. That is interesting. Oh man.
Yeah, this is a great rabbit hole to go down for sure. I'd really like to learn more about the why. The wiring all around.
Yeah. All right, let me see what I can. I don't want to put something on here that I can't. I don't have a lot of pictures of this, but I want to make sure I'm not putting something up that I'm not supposed to. All right, so let's go from Bill George to Gold Leader, right? I don't have any pictures of Tiger Sprocket. I don't. You know where there are pictures of the different Y-wings. There's pictures of it in the vehicles book. I should have looked at that before I can't put them on here, but where the heck is my Return of the Jedi Y-wings? I didn't save it, but I can go on to somewhere and get it. Here we are. Did I lose you?
I'm here.
Okay. So Y-wing. Let me make sure I'm not putting something on I'm not supposed to. I'm always worried about that because, like, I don't want to put the wrong things up. Where are you at? So I have to ask you, Jay, what made you decide to jump on starting the Red Jammer? Because that was news to me. You just out of the clear blue. You're like, oh, I did a Red Jammer. I'm like, what?
Curiosity, and I had been doing a lot of builds, as you know, that were very mechanistic and very clean. For example, like I did the tie, which everything is very symmetrical, and I mean it has its flaws, but you're using a lot of sort of like geometrical patterns and very symmetrical styles. Laying the wings down, doing the ball, the cockpit, the ATST, which basically at the end of the day, everything that I had worked on from scratch initially was once you build A, you're literally mirroring it when you do B. So you're just building two of the same. right? You do the walker, you're building the right side and the left side. If you idealize it or make it screen accurate, one way or the other, you're still just copying or mimicking what you did on the first time around. With the tie, same thing. And I don't know. I when I did the first two, I had done so much research and such a deep dive into the who, the what, the when, the where, the how. I found it really interesting and really intriguing, and I learned a lot. Like right now, like the ATST, I know that they like the back of my hands. And I mean, you know this personally. There's almost anything I can tell you about. There's almost nothing that I can't tell you about that particular model, from the way it was built and deconstructed and reverse engineering it. But the Y wing, as I mentioned earlier, there's no rhyme or reason to the way it was done, and that fascinates me. And part of me wanted to just kind of take that challenge and say, okay, well, if I build this, it may help me better understand the direction. Because I mean, you know this from your own experience. When you start to build something, you're not just building it. You start to get into this flow or this understanding or pattern of how it was originally built and why, right?
Yep.
I mean, not exactly because we weren't there, we weren't them, but
Right.
you do start to develop certain patterns that you get to a certain point where you now have your own compass. You now know, like, okay, they took this road. When they got to this fork in the road, they went left, and you start to get into that ebb and flow of, okay, I'm now figuring out where I'm going with this and why I'm going this way. Where it leads you. And with the Y one, it was just like, this thing has no rhyme or reason. It's an absolute train wreck. It's a mess. But on the beautiful,
I find myself thinking to myself, while I'm building like my sandcrawler, I'm thinking to myself, this is how they had to do this. Like I keep thinking to myself, there's no other way they could have done this specific thing or that specific thing. And my brain starts thinking, okay, like with Lauren, he had a lot of kits that he liked, and I keep going back, like, if there's something that I'm missing or thinking it's not known, I'll think to myself, all right, well, Lauren used a lot of this color, this kit, you know what I mean? There isn't a lot of that with his Y wings. Like they just put stuff on. There wasn't, you know what I'm saying? It's a hodgepodge of a lot of different crap.
Yeah, you're losing. You're it's almost like you're losing the methods in which they use to build some of these vehicles, right? Like an X-wing is an X-wing with certain changes. It reminds me sort of like, take like a Maxima, a Nissan Maxima, right? A Nissan Maxima is a Nissan Maxima. However, there may be certain tiers, like 3 or 4 tiers of maybe a base, version versus an upgraded version that has small little nuances and changes. But at the end of the day, when you see one on the road, you're looking at a Maxima. So the X-wings are like that. An X-wing, if you look close enough at the detail, there are differences and there are small nuances and elements that make one different from the next. But at the end of the day, they all pretty much resemble the same, same ship. But the Y-wings are just, like I said, other than the shape, there is nothing that keeps them.
No.
Again, not to keep using the word so repetitively, but there's nothing to keep them cohesive. There's no consistency.
Looking at this, and you think back to the jammer, it's totally different. It's the kit parts are all laid out differently.
Totally different. I mean, in the paint, look how. I mean, all these are in a very specific style.
We lost you, Jay. All these are in a specific style. What? Jason?
Yeah.
We lost all. You said all these are in a specific style, and then we lost you.
I was just saying, like, the consistency, like I said, not to be repetitive, but the cohesiveness of it, there, a consistency in their style, which is small changes and nuances between them. The Y wings, other than the shape, there's really no. I mean, they're all over the place. There's no consistency.
This looks like a point plug to light the thing up.
That's a lighting. Yeah, it's a contact
Yeah,
point.
contact. 4 points. So this is very dirty and dungy. Like you could, it looks a lot older than it. It has a lot of just oversprays and black all over the place and made to look very dirty. Um, there's really not a lot of method to the paint other than just like spray here, spray there, stain here. It's very messy, you know.
Yeah, this is interesting. This doesn't seem to have as many cast parts on it either. I mean, there's
No,
some, but these seem to be a lot more donor kit.
yeah, C Lab. This is definitely a cast piece here. Look how soft that is.
Mm-hmm.
Just see here's what are these? These are Allen. These are Allen screws. Allen screws. Yeah,
Those
button
are
heads.
access points or something, yeah.
Yeah, button heads. Holding this styrene down. See now, okay, go back. We've talked about this before, where different lighting flashes dictate colors. Okay, so this
Yes.
looks like a totally different ship than, see that first picture. Okay, take that. Okay. Looks like a totally different ship than this one.
Yes, I agree. And I think we talked before about how sometimes there'll be certain people in the community who weather very heavily.
Yeah.
And it's not that they're doing it incorrectly, they're copying it as they see it. But now, this is my opinion. I may be wrong, but I have a nagging suspicion that in some of these, in patterns in which they weathered, where they're really, really heavy and they're really, really dark and harsh, right? It's because you're under these extremely bright lights for shooting, camera light, you're shooting a movie. So you have to keep in mind that, like, if you just weathered it the way we would to put it on your shelf and look at it as a collectible or a display piece, if you took that same level of weathering and put it on screen in front of a camera with those lights, it would wash everything out.
Yeah.
It would just look like an Imperial shuttle, or it would just look like a gray vehicle.
It looks
So
like a Cantwell piece.
Yeah, it looked like the Cantwell piece. So a lot of the weathering had to purposely be much harsher and much deeper and much more rough on the eye. And I think sometimes people emulate that, not realizing that when you put that on display, it's going to look too strong. But technically, it is actually correct.
Look how
Because
look. These are cast pieces. You can see how
those are definitely cast pieces. Those are really crude and rough.
really crude, really rough, and then over here you can tell that this is not right here. This is a 8 rad piece right here, and it's got the inner workings here. Just, I'm looking forward to building one of these.
That's nice. Look how that's just split down the middle. Now I wonder if look at the front of the engine connected to the body of the engine, how it's mended together. So I wonder if that's two separate parts or if it's just a cast. I can't tell.
This doesn't look cast here. These are Sat-V ribs. These don't look cast to me. But it is.
It's got the little bump or ripple going down. Go down.
Yeah, down
right
here.
there. Get that little jump.
Where it's seamed together.
Hmm.
Yeah, because I just glued some Sat-V cans together, and it gets that little, not perfectly straight. It's like that a little bit.
But if you go up, keep going up to the connector point right there. That piece looks right. Yeah, go up right there. Yeah, that's cast. If you look at the detail.
Yeah, that's definitely cast. I mean, look at it. It's
a crude cast too.
It's got holes on the sides and flange and flashing right there.
Now, see, when you're looking at a lot of the other ships, even if they're not hero ships, even some of the stunt and pyro ones, they did use cast parts, but not nearly as many.
No,
They were
no,
still even like some of the finer detail on like some of the ties. They still added those small little nuances and those small little fine details, which you
Here's
would
a
never
cast.
expect.
Here's a cast piece.
Yep.
So my question is, okay, let's just say, okay, so this is a cast piece, right? And they've used this in other places, right? So this is a configuration of kit parts on another ship somewhere else.
Yeah, kind of like a Death Star tile,
Yeah, Death
just
Star
being
tile
reused and reused and reused.
or
Yeah.
Death Star, the Death Star, the Star Shore, like where there's a whole bunch of kit parts on a big area.
Mm-hmm. But just having those pre-made assortments to pick from and plop on whenever they
Yeah,
needed, like a grab bag of Greeblies. But even the weathering here, if you look at the front of that canister,
mm-hmm.
it's so much more rough and aesthetically crude
Yep.
versus the weathering styles of any other ships and models, whether it's a background ship or a pyro or a hero. I mean, this is rough.
This is not subtractive paint either. This is additive.
No, it isn't. It's additive, and I noticed on the Red Jammer too, when you blow up some of the images. Like at one point, I had it on like my 30-inch monitor, my 30-inch high definition monitor,
Yeah.
and it wasn't chipped away. Some of it was actually layered on top. It was additive, and I found that interesting because if you look at almost anything, I mean, Stuart, if you're still watching, you know firsthand with the Falcon how much of that comes through from underneath as you're chipping away and digging away at it.
That's a pretty good seam right there. There's no lip there for the leg egg to the.
There's nothing. It
No.
looks completely mended. Yeah.
Yeah. It's odd. Oh wow! Look at this piece. Look at this part. Wow, that is a complete mess.
That's fantastic. See, look at those two. I know they're too round to be hex, but you don't think those are access points of some sorts?
Where at?
Right there. Stop. Just by the tubing. Go by the tubing.
Right here.
Yep. No, go. Yep. It was on the other Y on the top and the bottom. It looks like it's what holds the sandwiches together.
I don't know. Because there's no screw. There's no screws inside of it.
There's no screw hole. Yeah, you're right.
And the pipe is covering it. They're not going to move that pipe to screw it down, right? Unless they screwed it down.
I don't know, but I noticed it was present on the other one as well.
Yeah, it's weird.
But it's very specific. It's not like a Greebly. It's very specific.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not agreeably. That's like tube going through or something. Man, this is a mess. Look at this thing.
Now, remember we talked about earlier whether all the Ys had whether it's conductive or copper or brass or whether it was metal or plastic. We tried to figure out if this was styrene for the tubing.
This is styrene.
Okay.
This is bent styrene. Look at the crimp right there.
Oh, you can see the crunch. Yeah.
Yeah, you can see that.
Especially
crunch.
on the thicker one too. You can see on the thicker one.
Yeah, it's crunch. That's right there. There's a crunch. Even here, it looks like two pieces of styrene were glued together. Right there, on that angle. That wasn't bent. That was just two pieces. They're glued and they put them together with There's a little. Yep, still here. The Falcon is layering Nightmare right down to the base material. Yep. I can't zoom and move around like I could if I had these pictures saved, but yeah, that's a complete disaster. It's a mess.
Still beautiful though, huh?
Yeah. Well, honestly, I'll be honest. Not as beautiful as I thought it was to begin with because it's a lot of cast. And I like to see the details of the kit parts rather than cast pieces of the kit parts. You know what I'm saying? But they aren't thinking of me when they built this thing. So it doesn't really matter what I think.
I
Um,
do find it super interesting though that it does have so many cast pieces on it compared to a lot of the other ships.
look at the numbers there. That's a date. 11 2
12, 1,
79.
7. If anybody knows what the initials on the jammer are, I would love for somebody to put those in the comments. I didn't even bother to ask
There's
John
initials
Simmons.
on the jammer.
Yeah, T-Locks or TLDX.
Oh, I didn't see any of those in any pictures. See now, okay, so let's just say somebody's gonna build one of these. Okay, like I'm gonna build one of these. Okay,
Mhm.
but if I was just to build one from scratch, you'd have to do all the kit parts because you don't want to get kit parts and make a cast of all the kit parts and plop it on to be accurate. You want to just buy the kit parts and put them on, right? Or would you go as far as to, like, if you were to scratch build this whole thing, would you stick to the way it was built, or would you want to do it all from scratch?
Well, what I did currently with Jammer at least was having had access to a body with castings with pieces. I didn't have access to a full kit, so I did have to scratch a lot of it and go through a number of kit lists and parts that I was very unfamiliar with and still am. But I liked the idea of mimicking because I was able, like as we were going through the images, some of them you can easily tell right away this is a cast, right?
Mhm.
Just because of how rough it is. I liked the idea of having access to the parts that were cast and being able to make them rough and sloppy and glue them on slightly crooked and lifted a little bit and partially painted. Because you know me, I'm a sucker for that accuracy, for that small little note of detail that most people would probably either shy away from or try to fix, right? Try to
Mhm.
change a little bit. But I did aim for that. I did aim for that for accuracy. But again, if you're starting from complete scratch and you don't have access, you're creating, it's almost easier to do it from scratch because you're creating so much more work for yourself by taking the original parts, making rough, not even clean, crisp casts of them, but rough casts, which I think is even more complex than to make clean,
Yeah.
it's easier to make, cleaner casts. You're now having to make rough looking casts of those pieces and then apply them rather than applying the pieces themselves. So it's kind of like counterintuitive, if you will. It's like
Yeah.
almost like an oxymoron, but it's
So
still
in this case, the Nyson kit is more accurate than if you scratch built it.
kind of, yeah. Kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of.
I mean, like if you went and bought all the kit parts and plopped them all on, right, and did it all from scratch, you would be less accurate than if you just built a Nyson one. It's really
Yeah,
bizarre.
let me show you this too, because this actually shows some more of the um, castings. Know what I wish you could do with StreamYard? It's too bad two people can't access the screen because it'd be nice to be able to, like, instead of being like, go left, go right, go, you know what I mean?
You could if you were signed in.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's where it's such a headache. Hold on, I'm trying
Oh,
to
there
go.
is one other thing I wanted to show here before I let's get rid of this before I do that. And there's a picture that I wanted to show just to show how kind of janky this thing is. Where are you at? Hodgepodge of different wildlings here.
Yeah, see, Jammer has those access points on the bottom too, Chris.
The circles.
Yeah.
Does Stewart know why?
Okay,
Okay, here
dead
I'm gonna
on in
show.
the same area.
I'm gonna show this here. Look how janky this thing is, Jason.
hold on, let me look. I had a different screen up. Let's see. Yeah, that's rough.
Yeah, that's styrene.
Mm-hmm.
Heated up, bent, pinched. That's definitely
Yeah,
styrene.
you can see the pinching. You're right.
Yeah, this is not copper wire.
It's real sloppy too.
Yeah, I do like the green. Well, I don't think it's green. I think it's oxide, the same color that is used on the Death Star tiles and the crane, but it's that greenish iron oxide. I like the green colors throughout this Gold Eater. Okay, so what's the tie killer then? Gold Eater. The Gold Eater is not tie killer, right? Because the tie killer has the little TIE fighter decal on the front, right?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay, so then what is Tiger Sprocket? What's the different? Is it blue and yellow? I'll have to look at my
That's what I'm not
chronicles when I get home.
That's what I'm not 100% sure.
You know what? I have my chronicles on PDF form here. Why don't I just bring it up?
Yeah, if you go to page 139, or not specifically, but like 135 or 137, and you'll be able to see the T-locks or the TLDX, which I did paint onto the model for the fun of it, but I always wonder
That's
what that
say that again. What page is that?
Go to, let me see. Sorry, I have my references like readily available. Start off at 134.
No.
Or
Jedi.
actually, you can go back a little further.
I'm talking Jedi. Oh no, that's Empire. You're right. I'm sorry.
No, it's correct. Go to
A New Hope?
No. Hold on. I'm gonna tell you in a second. Go directly to 120.
120. I gotta remember to send this to Steve. All right, 120.
Yeah, I when you told me I wasn't sure I was gonna send it to him, but I don't want to double up on it.
Here we go.
Soldering wire, very soft and bendy. That's true. He's saying possibly soldering wire, but it does look like it has a conduit over it.
Yeah, the one that I saw earlier was definitely wire stripped with insulation, but the one that we just showed, I don't know. That even soldering wire doesn't crimp like that, and that really looks like somebody heated up styrene and just bent it. That's not what I want to show. This one right here. I don't think that looks like soldering wire. Do you?
I don't know. That does look more like plastic to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I could be wrong. You know?
I still really don't like the way StreamYard now does sharing. It sucks.
Yeah,
right.
I don't want to get into it during the show, but StreamYard is pretty frustrating. I agree.
Oh, it's so aggravating right now. See if I can stop screen. Now I got a present screen. And we got to share window. I don't have it up. Where is it at? Where are you? I just had it. Did I exit out? 122. There it is. Oh, it's PDF. Okay. So this here is all right, so Chronicles. Can I make this bigger and get rid of this banner? I guess not. So here's Gold Eater. Okay, we got Gold Eater. No TIE fighter on the front, right? It's the one we were just looking at, right? I can zoom with my fingers. Good. See if we can find those access points you were talking about. Well, these here are, they look like
those have more of a.
Where were those again? They were up front here. Oh, look.
They do have them. Yeah, there's one right there, and there's one on the two. Yeah,
one underneath there. And those are
so it
bigger
must have been the way they sandwiched the top and bottom together.
Yeah. Okay, so that's Gold Leader, right? And then I know they go through a couple different ones and show you. Oh, damn it. Really? I got to go back to my list. I lost it. Now I got to reshare it. Oh, you stink. You're terrible.
You're messing up the ebb and flow of the show, brother.
No, freaking StreamYard's new way of sharing stuff.
No,
It
I
used to
know.
be-
I'm just saying, if I was a casual watcher, I'd be like,
Yeah.
who are these amateurs?
Seriously. We are amateurs. That's not in question, but who's yelling at you? All right, Gold 2. Here we go.
Okay.
Gold 2, right? No blue.
Oh yeah, that one's got the little orangish.
Yep.
See, now this looks like copper tubing.
Yes. Looks like the same thing as we just saw
Mm-hmm.
on Jammer.
It has more of a jammer layout with the
It
tubing.
really
on this.
does. It has a blue ring, 2 blue rings. This looks a lot like Jammer. I'd have to like have them side by side to compare them, but Gold 2,
The
right?
canopy's a little different on that one.
Yeah, the top part is like more straight and
The
streamlined.
window too.
Yeah, it's different shaped. I don't think I like that one as much. And then here's it again. So there's those access points you've been wondering about.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's King Tiger spoke right here. I like when I see it and I'm like, oh yeah, that's this. Oh yeah, that's that. I never thought I'd get to that point. Now see, this one doesn't have the bars in the back, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Is it my imagination or is the shoulders here on the back of the head here a little different, shaped differently? Or am I just imagining that? It's more diamond shaped. No?
I don't know. My mind's playing tricks on me now that you said it.
Let's look at nope, it's the same. It's the same. Because this is Gold Eater here, I think. Nope, that's Gold 2. Why do they have Gold 2 here? I said that's Gold Eater. There's no blue on it.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe, oh yeah, it's blue, but it's under a different flash. So Gold 2, okay.
This one's a lot cleaner. This like the tubing's more precise, the painting's more precise, the weathering is a little bit more methodical.
Less cast pieces.
Sure. Yeah, this isn't
I mean,
as
look at this.
haphazard as the others.
Look at that.
Yeah, look
That's
how
more
clean that is.
more defined.
I wonder if this was this had to be for hero shots, hero purposes.
Well, I mean,
Even
here
the tubing, dude, it's so like, yeah,
it's
there
right
you
there.
go. It's laid out in a much smoother way.
Well, Gold Leader is the most hero out of all of them, right? And it's has a lot of cast on it. The shape of the cockpit is so weird. Like, look how it like rounds in the front.
See how, and look how it bells out to the right and the left.
Yeah,
On the top, it's just like, whoop.
it's gonna be an interesting build. So Gold 2. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, much cleaner.
Much
All
much.
around.
Yeah.
This book is priceless, dude. Seriously. If you're into this modeling, these ships at all, this is the book to have. All right. And
I
more
couldn't.
gold.
I remember buying this book for like $70, literally. And then when I started selling for like 200, I'm like, people are crazy. And then last year, the year before was like 400, and I was like, $400 for a $70 book, a $75 book. And then now it's like people are paying 1,000, 1,200. I'm like, no way.
I almost paid 800 for it the one time, and you're like,
Yeah, I told
wait.
you to wait. I was like, wait.
Thank God I did. I only paid $200 for mine,
Yeah,
and it was sealed. It was
because anybody,
sealed.
anybody who like jumps at those eBay ones like 12, that's just like, you know what?
Ridiculous.
You know, when you're in our group of the hyperdrive, like you get stuck on that hype and you don't realize that like there's no reason for the book to be that much money. It's not that rare.
No, it's
I
not.
mean, it's rare, but it's not one of those things that like you have to. You don't have to fork out that kind of money for it.
This here is gold 3.
Okay, so there's quite a few now. Okay,
There are a lot.
this is also clean.
It is clean. Although, like on this picture, I can't really tell if that's well. Yeah, is that the no? I don't know. It looks a little bit messier.
This also has those access points for sandwiching the top and bottom together.
Well, there's got to be a reason for them.
Yeah, I wonder what they use to you know.
I got to go to another set of. It's broken down so because it's such a large file that it has to be. It's
Oh, really?
down.
You can just scroll?
I can, but it would take me a long time to load it up. So it's broken down into 5 pages each. All right, so share this one again. Get a little bit quicker with doing this. What'd you do? You all right?
Yeah. But...
What'd you break?
No, it's something over.
Not your McCory Vader helmet again, right?
Sorry, that was a Steve joke. Go away.
So we're at Tiger. We're at gold 3, right? That's gold.
Dude, look
3.
how clean that the yellow paint was on the underside.
Yeah.
Meticulous. Look at that. Meticulous.
Yeah, that is.
That's butter right there.
No chipping.
Look at the weathering strip, everything. That is, yeah, that's a clean masking job right there. Masking tape right there. Look at that. You can even see where they pulled the tape up. You know, left a little fleck.
Yeah. Yeah, it's surprising that all these are pretty clean, but then Gold Leader is a complete mess.
Gold Leader and Jammer look like they were in a train wreck.
All right, Jesus Christ, we got a whole bunch. Gold 5.
Gold 5. Okay. Wow, I'm really learning a lot here.
Yeah, me too. I knew there was a couple, but like look at this one has.
Oh, I like the canopy on that one.
So do I. Is that red?
It looks like a red that was misted down.
Yeah, and then a gray checker square
This one's
there.
also got a tube going from the neck into the canopy.
Yeah, right here.
Other than the straight rods, yeah. I like that.
It's different.
This is
See, every single one of them is different. Like,
and they're so different. They're not slightly different like a tie or an X-wing. There's not like subtle variations that you look for. They're significantly different. The only thing that keeps them together is the shape. Other than that, they're completely different.
The whole layout of all the parts and everything. The piping, everything.
I feel like this is a vehicle you can study like just forever.
I think there's a lot of people who are very interested in the different versions of X-Wings because X-Wing is a lot more iconic than a Y-Wing. But for me, I think a Y-Wing would fascinate me. All these different variations would fascinate me a lot more than an X-Wing.
Yeah, I might actually put a picture up in the next I feel like I take such bad photography, but if anybody's watching, I have quite a few Ys. I have the red jammer that I'm working on now. I have the Joe Johnston Concept Y by Lee Ralph. I have the Return of the Jedi.
Look at this.
Lee Ralph Y, but I also have the Master Pattern one. And it's just good to see the variations and differences.
Look at the bottom of this one.
I like that.
So do I.
I like that a lot. Yeah.
That's gold 5. It gets blown up. Okay. We are red jammer. Here's the Here's the red
Yeah,
jammer.
look at the train wreck that this thing is.
Well, it don't look so bad like this, other than the weathering of the paint job. Like it don't look
No, I know, but the
horrible.
detail isn't crisp. Like you can tell here that these are all cast chunks.
Yeah. I like the red jammer a lot compared
I
to
like
the
the
other one.
messiness of the piping and the tubing.
I'm still pretty convinced that these are wires with, like, this middle one that looks very shiny. I don't know. That looks like just straight copper.
The middle rod going from that center point into the midsection, that definitely is just a. I mean, I just use a straight rod of copper, and it's dead on. It doesn't.
I
Have
don't
the,
think. I don't think this is. I don't think it's cop. I think. Okay, this is my opinion. I think that it's wire with insulation and then painted to look like copper, like shiny metallic paint, and then like the front's misted over with a mist color. Because
Yeah.
if this was straight copper, in 40 years these would be green, not
You're
copper
right.
color.
They would have. Yeah, they would have had the oxidized or had.
Yeah, they would have patinaed a long time ago. So that's got to be copper paint, because the Flocals don't have. They don't. Did they have a?
Yeah, they had a metallic.
Did they have
Paper.
metallic?
Yep,
Okay,
for the trains. Yeah.
didn't know that. But yeah, these are definitely wires that were painted, because they're just, the insulation is soft. You can tell, and it's not dimpled like styrene is. Plus, they had different size wires. They had 14, they had 12, they had 10, like different sizes. Like the straight one down the middle, that's probably a styrene rod, but the ones that are all bent. Okay, I want to see Tiger Sprocket. That's what I want to see. I have not seen what that thing looks like. See, this is the version I like of Jammer.
Yeah.
Not completely white, has a lot of this, the parts for the main thing, but it's still not completely finished like the other side.
Still unfinished. Yeah, it's going.
Yeah.
So you can see all the pencil markings on this too, on this side. You
Where?
see some of the pencil markings, just like little scribbles and scratches with pencil marks. Maybe like they were marking, like put something here, put a greebly there. I'm wondering if I should mimic that or not. As you scroll down, there's a lot of images of Jammer. So as you scroll down, you'll
Is
see.
there?
Yeah.
Or are they a lot of the images that I've already just showed? Damn it, I gotta go to another 5 pages.
Not so much.
Let's
Some
just
are, but not all.
clean some of this up here so I can just get to what I need to. There's a lot of Y-wing pages.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I only had because you can type in what pages you want clipped, and I just had the Jammer pages like accessed.
Okay, hopefully we get to Tiger Sprocket before. See, now in all those other pictures, this looked heavily misted, but this is very stark white red. I mean,
well, this was definitely painted and repainted, because you're missing a lot of the brown. You're missing a lot of the speckle, like when you take a brush and flick it. You're missing a lot of that, and it's
there's
not
no
washed
speckle in
out.
there.
Yeah, it's just not present. It's not washed out. It's just not present.
Well,
So
that's
you're missing a lot of that.
Interesting view.
That little yellow dab of color I added, and there's one that has like a little red dab of color, which I thought was like, it's such a tiny piece. I thought like, oh, that's interesting that they.
There's blue there.
Yeah,
there's like a bluish there too. I remember watching John's video, and he showed it how you do the paint on the droid, the fake droid there. And again, there's no cockpit.
correct. Yep.
It's cool. I like that. Because I was wondering, like, how, like, building a cockpit. Okay, there's
coming
a
up
lot.
coming up close, coming up soon, you'll see the initials.
Here they are.
There's the on the side. Look at all the cast bits here. There's the
nothing.
access points for the sandwiched.
There's nothing there. There's nothing in there though. Oh, these are
It
great.
must have just been. It must have just been a way to like stick a Phillips in there and just turn it. You know what I mean?
Maybe.
Just
This
enough
is
like friction fit with the screwdriver to just pop it apart.
These are unbelievable reference pictures. Okay, so here's the white. Here's the white canister.
I love that. I love how it's just all ghosted like that on one side.
Here you can see inside, and there's nothing there.
You're right. There's nothing there,
There's no screw.
but they definitely serve a purpose of sandwiching them together because they all have it.
I'm gonna have to.
But God, this one has so many cast pieces on it.
These are
Even this. So, all right, go to the part where see real quick. See that little red, little kind of like they did with the yellow.
Yeah, right there.
I added that little touch of red and all the little dips of red and yellow in the pipes. But go over to the wing.
Listen, that doesn't make it more accurate if you're adding drip points and glue spots.
I know. I was hoping you'd catch on to that.
Yeah.
You got it. Okay, go over to the wing. Okay, you see the little sheets of styrene on the wing to cover and mask.
Yeah.
The cast sheets of greeblies. That's interesting that they did that.
Where are you talking about? Right here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, look at the
cast. How crude those castings are.
Oh, that's bad. There's holes, pinholes in it and everything.
Yeah, they're crude. So that whole sheet. So like even when we're looking at the parts list,
mm-hmm.
and they're showing like the wing top and they're showing it how it's all built. Well, it's actually incorrect if you take all those clean donor kits and just glue them on. You want the cast section, and then you take the styrene sheets and sandwich it all together and have them on as plates. You know,
these pictures. I haven't looked at these, but these reference pictures are stunning.
Oh, they're phenomenal.
They're phenomenal. Well, this is U channel right here in the center there.
Mm-hmm.
That looks like U channel too, but it's wider. It's got a lip on each side. You gotta love pinch and zoom. Do you remember when we first got these PDFs and we're like pinching and zooming on every spot and looking at different things?
I don't think I've used my physical book. I know you use those regularly, but ever since I got the PDF, I don't use there it is. See the T-locks? TLDX.
Oh, TLDX.
Yeah, I wonder what that stands for. I added it just for the fun of it.
Oh yeah.
But I don't know what I'd love to know what it's for. Whose initials or
gotta be somebody. It's probably
I
just
missed that black box. I didn't add that to mine yet.
This?
Yeah, that obvious in your face black box. I missed it.
Yeah. It's got overspray.
And it's sprayed on. I like that rather than decaled. Because there's a little like Tamiya decals on this.
Look at this. Look at this overspray here. Somebody didn't
that's a
tape
sloppy.
right. Yeah.
That's when the gun was like spitting. That's what it looks like.
I think they taped it, but didn't tape that part. I'll bet you any money this TLDX is probably just some chick that one of the dudes had fun with the night before or something like that.
that's a very specific.
Tammy loves dicks or something.
Okay, we know where your mind's at.
Right? Am I right? Come on.
I guess so.
I mean, think about it. I've noticed a lot of this brick. The
brick sheet, yeah.
Yeah, the brick sheet.
But that's the thing. It's in a lot of areas, but the pieces
tiny.
are so tiny.
Yeah. Okay, give me freaking tiger.
Okay, here's a part I wanted to talk to you about. I've looked at a couple. I looked at Lee Stringers. I looked at John's. I looked at a couple different builds. Some people do this and some people don't. What are your thoughts on that?
The holes.
Mm-hmm. Because it doesn't exist throughout the entire variations of Jammer. Just
that's the first time I've seen it. Oh,
really?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So this isn't from start to end. This is only on a few reference images.
Well, this is an early version of this. This is the white can without all the rest of the parts on. So they must have replaced that at some point. If it's not on the other ones. Right?
I think so. I could be wrong.
I don't remember seeing it any other time.
Neither do I. That's why I'm not 100% sure.
Because I've looked at this ring. Remember I showed you the nubs?
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, I
it's
definitely remember.
it's not on that one. They replaced it. I'm gonna have to. It's gonna make me change again. Dash darn it! Wow, look at this detail. Holy shit! I'm gonna be using this a lot more. I didn't use this a whole lot.
Chris, interesting effect though for weathering. No, like you see weathering techniques, but very rarely do you see them actually like burn or singe or remove
Yeah.
an entire, piece
Entire
of
ring.
plastic like that.
Yeah.
And those, when I was chatting with Steve the other night, this is what I was telling him right here when he was like, "Oh, these." So these are access points to the armature. Those hex screws right there.
Where?
See, but those are definitely knurled hex screws, but they look very rounded and clean inside.
Where's the hex screws at?
Right there, there's 3 of them. 1, 2, 3.
Those are not hex screws.
They are.
Oh yes, they are. Okay, now I'm seeing it.
They're definitely hex screws. That's what those 2
yeah,
hex wrenches in the case were for.
yeah, and they have the top one there has paint missing because they used the wrenches on it, and one of the screws is missing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And most of the pictures that all the screws are missing, so this is a good shot because it still shows them.
This is a cast piece. Look at these. Look at their corners there. Pinholes in that. Okay, hold on a second. So this part, this back, is on most of the Y-wings, right?
Yes. Yep.
So why in the heck would they? Okay, this is supposed to be one of the original one, right? The one they based all the others off of.
Correct.
Why would they build one with a cast part on it and then build this first with all the? I'm sorry, take this back. Build this first with all the cast parts on, and then build one later on down the line where it has real parts on it. Like, why would they? It's almost like this is not the first one.
It's backwards.
It's backwards.
This is what I'm curious about, Chris, and this is why this discussion I feel like can go on forever and ever, right? Because the fact that this one is so crude, so rough, makes sense. Like, just get one together for reference, and that's that. But
go ahead.
I was gonna say, to repeat what you mentioned, where
when they're building a new one, it's almost like with Boba Fett, right? You're building something new and you're spitballing and trying to figure out what looks good. You're not gonna, if this is the original base model that they're basing all the other Y-wings off of.
Yeah, why use so many cast parts? Why have it be such a exactly? Why have it be
the prototype? The prototype of the prototype for regular cars is not a hunk of junk. It's pristine. It's new. It's put together. It's what I'm saying.
Interesting. You can see the C-Lab circles cut up over the vented pieces.
C-Lab circles?
Yeah, you know those circular pieces in the C-Lab kit? Right above the vent. Look at the vent on the right side. It's only on one side.
What am I missing here?
Look at the round circular vent.
This one?
Yep.
This here?
Nope. Go to the right. Go to the right.
This.
Nope. The right. The circular vent.
I'm going to the right. I am going right.
Yep. Now go right above it.
This here. Oh, this?
Nope. Down.
This.
Down. In between. You're right there. That piece.
Between?
Yeah, you see that little circular thing with the 2 nipples on it?
That's not a C-Lab.
Yeah, that's a C-Lab piece, man. That's that circular piece in the C-Lab kit. I'm telling you.
What?
Mm-hmm. It's weird. It's only on the one side.
I don't recognize that. It didn't even fall off.
Exactly. And then the other piece behind on the left side, where the wire or the frame is coming out and around, has the vented piece on one side but not the other.
This on the bottom corner.
Mm-hmm.
It's totally different. Look at like this side has these openings.
That's what I
right?
mean. Yeah, it has that vented slot, and the
And
other one
then
doesn't have it.
on this side does not. I don't recognize that at Sea Lab part. I thought I knew most Sea Lab parts.
I wouldn't have known either. I was just recently handling it. It's a little circular piece that comes in like you have to like break it apart.
All right, Y-wing prototype. Right, we've seen all these, so now I have to go to the next. I wish I'd have just taken the time and let it load up.
Yeah.
Come on. This is the last one, so this better have freaking ones up. It doesn't have it. There's no pictures of Tiger Sprocket in here.
Let me see if I have it on the reference.
Nope. No Tiger Sprocket. Unless it's in Jedi. Could be in Jedi. These are all
they tend to bunch everything together. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, but like this is a New Hope. It's definitely. I'm gonna load up. I'm just gonna load up what I have, the whole thing. See how long it takes. Should probably gonna load up right away, and I wasted all that time.
I know we've been going for 2 hours too.
Yeah,
This conversation is going by quick because there's so much interesting stuff to talk about.
there is a lot to talk about.
I wonder though, right? Like I'm so into this right now. I wonder, like, is there anybody that's watching or going to watch this that's like, oh yeah, I could watch this for another. You know what I mean?
Yeah, or people are like, "This is boring. You guys are putting me to sleep.
Like, what is this?
Your voices are putting me to sleep."
That's classic.
Let's see if I can find some Y-wings in here. These are all I'm looking at the Jedi era, so it wouldn't be. They kind of do it in like movie timeline. They have Tatooine stuff, and then they go to then they happen the battle later on above Endor. So these are all people are probably like, slow down, I want to see that freaking.
I know when you were going through some of the pages, I was like, hold on, people want to see that, man. People want to see it.
Yeah, I'm sure they do. I know that. I'm sure they do. But I want to see if we could find some Y-wings later on. There's the A-wing.
Come get your copy, $49.99. I'm kidding.
$500. I'll send you a copy.
$500, make you holla.
B-wing is a fun one. That I want to make one of those too.
It's a nightmare, absolute nightmare.
I would like to scratch build one, but I'm thinking that might be a little more difficult than. Oh, listen! Before I forget, okay, I'm gonna tell everybody. Friday morning, we're going to. Merlin Models sent me both of their ATST prototypes.
This Friday?
This Friday morning. Didn't we decide Friday morning?
Oh, Friday morning. I'm unavailable. I wasn't sure.
You suck.
You didn't. Yeah,
I did.
You didn't confirm.
I did. I asked you, and you said Friday morning.
I thought what we were doing tonight was going to be Friday morning.
No, tonight is Friday. I don't have those.
How early? Not that I don't want to discuss this on the show, but I can do it pretty early, like 8 a.m. if you want.
Maybe not quite 8 a.m. Like maybe 9. By the time
as long as we're done by 10.
Well, I don't know. I think every warrants is a little bit longer than an hour. All right. Well, Thursday.
I could do Thursday
morning. Thursday morning.
I can do Thursday morning. Yeah.
All right. Let's do Thursday morning. Because I don't have anything. There's no Y-wings in this Jedi version of the Chronicles. We should have a show where we just look at the Chronicles book.
Yeah, we can do that.
I know a lot of people want it and don't have it, and would love to see what's in it.
Or we can do 3 shows where we break it up from Star Wars, ESP, and then Jedi.
I love this. I don't know why. I just do.
What is it?
The Mind Cow Cruiser. Now, do you think that that's base coated white and then sprayed with the brown, the red, the brownish red, or do you think it's base coated in this brown color and then reefer white over top of that? I think it's reefer white over top. Do you?
Hmm. I'm
Because I
looking
have a
at the
little
pattern.
one of this and I want to build it. I have a little model of this. I want to paint it.
I'm
I
looking at the
don't know which
pattern
way.
of overspray, and it's not too far fetched what you said that it might just be variations of browns and reds with the white
White.
overspray.
Yeah, because look at the white has a brown creaminess to it, like my silo where it's yellow creamy, right?
Yeah.
Um, Scott Berry said that would be awesome. I've won that book for some time now. I'm sure I know a lot of people have been looking for it, and it's hard to come by. People are asking stupid money for it, and I was about to pay that stupid amount of money too at one point. This one I love too, dude.
Like you have such a good friend.
Yeah,
I was like,
yeah.
don't pay it. And then another good friend came through and I cut for you. So
Another-
you had two good people looking out for you, brother.
I did. I was ready to shell out $900 and they
Twice.
stopped.
On more
Twice,
than one
yeah.
occasion. The second time
Yeah.
around, you're like, I'm just gonna do it. I'm just gonna do it. I'm like, don't.
Yeah. I actually talked to my wife about it. I'm like, listen, I'm gonna buy this. Let me just take a little bit of money out of savings right now. She's like, really? You're gonna pay $800 for a book? I'm like, yes, it's worth it. And she's like, fine, just do it. And then you talked me out of it. I don't see any more Y wings, so Tiger Sprocket is not showing up in this book. But I think Scott talked us into doing this, going through the chronicles and just slowly going through these pictures and getting a better sense of what's in it. I think a lot of people would enjoy that. Yep, here starts Jedi. All right. You don't have any pictures of Tiger Sprocket? I'm sure if I look up.
I'm looking right now. I have some reference that I was using. Let me see what I have for Y-Wing. Just give me a quick second.
Like I said, Slave One. There's some Slave One pictures. These are interesting. Look at that. Oh.
No. Looks like I have one of Jill painting it, but you can't really see any detail on it. And most of it's just Red Jammer again. God, Red Jammer is different in every picture.
Yeah. I think Red Jammer is not the original one.
It's starting to look that way. I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of questions.
Totally wrong, but it just doesn't make sense. It's almost like the whole Ralph McQuarrie thing where everybody thought he was the reason, he was the one who drew up these ships, and then people based their model designs on them, building them, but it was the other way around. He had the models sit in front of him and he painted them. Yeah, but I think we will do this the Chronicles book page through. That maybe next week we can do that one night for the first one.
Yeah, I'm open to that.
And also, as I started saying, I have both the Empire ATST and the Return of the Jedi ATST prototype at my house. I've had them actually for a little while now, but I was extremely busy and I needed to fix a few things on them from shipping. But the reason why they needed fixing was because they were the prototypes. A lot of it was 3D printed for a prototype. And we can get into that 3D printed.
Yeah, let people know like what they're going to receive versus.
Yeah, the stuff they're going to receive is going to be resin cast pieces that aren't going to snap like glass. So, it just happened that the prototype that they built to show it and to cast it was 3D printed. And we all know how we feel about 3D printed models. But I have them in.
I might be able to give some insight on that.
Yeah. We'll talk about that too. But I have them, and we're going to show them and review them. They are painted pieces. We're gonna say exactly what we think about it. We love Ethan and Justin, and I'll be honest, they're really well, they're really thought out well, and they put a lot of work into it, and early review is they did a good job. They did a really good job, and I think everybody's going to be happy. And looks like we're gonna do Thursday now. I was thinking Friday, but we're gonna do Thursday because we always follow Jason's schedule.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so yeah, that'll be Thursday morning. I'll put a thumbnail up probably Wednesday. Give a little bit heads up.
Hey, I want to post something real quick before we sign off. I know it's a bit random. Yeah, I know it's a bit random, but there's a reason. Hold on. All right. This is a big factor in what lighting plays. And the reason why I use this is an example by Jason Eaton of an X-Wing he did, which is top shelf. I mean, this thing is the bee's knees, right? And it's as accurate as it comes with the painting. But this is a great example of people not taking something and trying to compare it to reference images, or not understanding how harsh weathering should or could be, or things like that. It's a matter of lighting and purpose and reason and how the weathering kind of works. So someone might look at this and say, well, that's apples and oranges. It's completely incorrect. Nothing about these two match. But it's
absolutely wrong.
It's pretty dead on. It's just that the one on the right looks so much more aesthetically harsh.
It has a flash, an old 70s flash flashing on it. Probably a cool light.
Yeah, there's that. But also, the weathering is much more blatantly, like deep and dark and hefty to be able to show through those bright lights versus something that's going to be on display in your home or in a collection, even on the LED lights. The weathering was mimicked, but it was toned down a little bit.
Yeah. Is there glass on?
Good example.
Is there glass on that canopy? On the, it looks like there's glass on top.
Looks like there's something over it. Yeah, acrylic glass could be.
Yeah. Jason did a great job. He really did.
Yeah, the paint on that is bang on, man. I always love this as an example, but it does go to show, like, because you could sit here and be like, well, this isn't right and that isn't right, but under the right circumstances, you're right. Between the time in which the image was taken, the camera used, the lens, the lighting, etc., but it was intentionally much more harsh to withstand that bright light and the flash and what have you. But putting that on display in your home, the one on the right would be so much more like muddled and dark and rough looking.
Look at the engine, the left engine on the original. Look how melted it is from the heat, the lights, twisted it.
Yeah.
I didn't, when I did mine, I didn't get the I did not get the green color right. I did not get that orange right either. I used
green's a tough one.
Yeah, I tried like a bunch of different kinds. I'm sure there's some like misting that I didn't do or something like that.
If you look at the right side and the left side where it has that little patch, there's a gradation there. It's pretty, I think it's tough to get, but it also too, Chris. I mean, if you're working on the warm light, or if you're working on the cold light, or if you're working in sunlight, I'm not trying to be silly here, but literally, that's all going to determine how it's going to look.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's also another, not to get into it because I know we got to sign off in a minute, but that's also another factor that depending on someone's workshop, whether they're painting indoors with no windows and they're using artificial lighting, or they're painting in sunlight, is going to determine how harsh and how deep the weathering and the browns and blacks and grays are settled into the overall aesthetic of the model.
When I do mine in my garage, right? And I have a lot of lights in my ceiling. I have those spotlights that are just like, the ones you screw in and they open up and they have a bunch of panels and they're LEDs and they're soft, right? But then when I open up I have a different light in my spray booth. And I thought I had the same temperature, Kelvin rating, the same
It was Kelvin or something, yeah.
Kelvin, yeah. But it is different. And it bothers me because it'll look one way outside of the spray booth, and in my spray booth, the weathering looks so much harsher. Okay, more harsh. And then when I come out, it's like, oh, I didn't go far enough on the weathering, and then I go back in. So I'm gonna have to change. And then on top of that, like I open my garage door and I get all the sunlight. So that's a whole nother different tone of light coming at it. So, yeah. But I that picture, that work Jason did, that's beautiful, gorgeous.
Yeah, that's a great reference.
Yeah.
To show side by side.
And if anybody knows what Red 5 looks like, it is Jason. That is for certain. So, all right, man. I gotta go to bed because I gotta get up. I'm in New York City and I gotta work tomorrow morning early. So, and I got a 4-hour drive home. So if I don't go to sleep soon, I'm gonna be crashing on the way home. But this was fun. Y-Wing was definitely something that we could probably still go on about because there's so much to talk about each one of them. And it's gonna be fun building them because, like, I'm finishing my sandcrawler and another sandcrawler, and then I'm gonna work on a Y-Wing along with a Falcon. So that'll be my next thing. And Slave One in there too, somewhat. So, yeah. But hey, everybody, we still have 11 people watching. And they're probably falling asleep already. So thanks for everybody joining. Scott and Aaron. No, I didn't scan these. I got them from a friend. Stuart, thanks for joining us, brother. Michael, we'll talk soon, buddy. I think those are the only commenters.
Yeah, thanks for joining, guys. We know some of these late night, random Tuesday, 11 o'clock at night ramblings about nonsense and technical difficulties and scattered voices is a tough pill to swallow. But we appreciate you appreciate you hanging out and chatting with us as we deconstruct this stuff and try to figure it out. But
there's a lot to learn. There's a
thanks
lot
for jumping
to
down the rabbit hole with us for sure.
That's the great thing about this, though, Jason, is you never know everything.
Exactly.
Like, you could be doing this 20 years and still not know everything. You know?
I say ever since I got into this, like on a much deeper level, I think right around the time I started scratch building, and like you mentioned, like you're at a point now where you can look at a ship and say, oh, this piece is from this and this piece, and you're like, wow, I never thought I'd get to that point, right? And It's true, because I remember the days of like the people who ID stuff that blew my mind. That someone could be like, oh, that's from this kit, that's that skill, and my brain was like, there's so much. How could you do that? And now we're at that point where you can look at something and be like, oh, this is the 112 this and the 118 that. Yeah. But I always
say Jason, it's even more miraculous that I can because my memory is horrible.
Yeah, your memory's shot, but
it's all selective. It's selective memory.
Yeah, it's convenient. But I say all the time, it's like practicing law or practicing medicine. There's never going to be a day where you know everything about everything. You're always learning. And I mean, there's some ships that at this point, like between the ATSD or the TIE, I know them like the back of my hand, right? And look how complicated the TIE wing is. But because I spent over a year and a half, almost 2 years with each one of them, intimately, just one-on-one, consistently learning, deep diving, building, rebuilding, etc., you tend to understand this stuff. But the Y-wing, I don't. There's so much I don't know or understand, and
I think this is a
Well,
good jumping point to.
That's with me. Like the bottom of Slave One, I know I know it like my kids' faces. Like and
Yeah, you're pretty bang on with the Slave One at this point.
and Sandcrawler, even that now, the engine, the top part of the engine, and I'm really getting to know that extremely well. And those two pieces are very complicated kit part arrangements, Um, and I have a hard time remembering what I ate yesterday. So, so it gets frustrating for my wife because I do know a lot more about this stuff than I do about her day, but whatever. But thanks for joining us, guys. That's the plan we have. We have Thursday, we have ATSTs. Friday is group therapy, which I don't know if you've noticed has been last couple shows have been a lot more fun and a lot more lively and a lot more information going on. It's been nice, and and our family Joker is back. He's Matt's back, and next week we're gonna do some Chronicle books. Hopefully, I can make them large enough that you can see. I think you could see it pretty well as I was showing it now. So that's the plan for the next couple shows. And thank you everybody for joining us. Anything else you want to say before we sign off, Jason?
Just have a good night, everyone.
Yes, that was wonderful. Bye.